Hello and welcome to AI Dungeon. You might have seen this game on other channels before. I've personally seen it on a Northern Lion stream recently and thought I have always sort of wanted to do this. I was just never really aware of how or where. And so I thought, sure, let's make videos on this. In its essence, if you don't have any idea about what this is, you basically start with a sort of story prompt, and you can then sort of go back and forth with an AI and co-write a story, basically. You can go back and almost change anything the AI says to fit what you wanted to say, but what would be the fun in that? So I think I'll just quickly show you a basic idea of how this works, and then we'll actually go into our first story together. We'll just choose, I don't know, apocalyptic for now. We select a character. Doesn't really matter. Soldier. Our soldier is called Calamity. Then the AI generates a story based on the premise that this is an apocalyptic world. Then it gives us a prompt. You are Calamity, a soldier trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world by scavenging among the ruins of what is left. You have an automatic rifle and a grenade. You have lived in this military bunker since the bombs went off. You wake up and report for duty to your commanding officer. Ask him what your next mission is. You basically then get three options down here. You can take any sort of action. You can just say anything, pretty self-explanatory. And the other option is story, which basically just means you can write what happens next. From my one playthrough that I tried myself to just see how it went, this is the option I use the most. That story playthrough, by the way, I think I'll just link you a Google Doc with what the story was in the description, because it was great fun. I got really invested into it, which was interesting to see, considering I was basically writing it myself and just, awaiting what response the AI would give me. Okay, so in this case, the game wants me to ask our commanding officer what our next mission is. So what is my next mission? You have to think a bit about in which person you talk, because when you do something, or in the story, you should talk in almost like, what was it, second person? And then in saying, you usually will do it in first person. The commander says in a tired voice, "We're attacking the mutants at the base. Try not to get run over." I thought we attacked the mutants last week. We did, but they're rebuilding, so we're going to do it again. Better equip yourselves the best you have. This will be a large-scale attack. You the best you have. Sometimes the AI is a bit iffy, but most of the time it works great. So go to your chest and pick up your weapons. I don't know why I'd have a chest to do that, but that works, I guess. What are we going to pick up? Among your weapons are a bow, a revolver, a flintlock pistol, and a chainsaw. You grab the revolver along with a few magazines. We'll take the chainsaw as well. Does the AI have anything to say to that? The chainsaw is cumbersome, but with your strength you're able to carry it. You put on the armor and grab your M16. Ooh, we suddenly have an M16. That wasn't in the chest. The bunker erupts in gunfire, explosions, and shouting. What do we do next? Story. You call your commander to tell you your next task. What is my next task? The commanding officer does not answer. M7S CFW, how are you doing? Over. I think the command is dead. Roger that. We're attempting to route out what we can think of. What are you seeing? Over. Something is going on with that guy. What am I seeing? I'm seeing the light. What do you mean? Over. It's not that. This is fragment. Emergency. It's so bright. I see what you mean. The sun is causing interference on our comms. Attempt to contact and hold on to your butts. We're entering a localized geomagnetic storm. Ooh. Okay. The sun is causing interference. Shoot at the sun. Come on. Your bullet is absorbed by the sun, which is causing the interference. We're coming out of the storm. What were you doing? Nothing. I wasn't doing anything. The boss is dead. Yeah, I figured. The boss was a stupid hunch. It's too early for this kind of thing. You can't fight the mutants with only 2 groups. Wait, why am I even going on with this? I never wanted to play this. I just wanted to show you what it's like. Okay. I don't like the scenario that much anyway. Although, do we? Nah. We'll change to something else. I'd much rather... I mean, I chose Apocalyptic to show you because that's a scenario I don't really like. I'd much rather take fantasy or mystery. And my practice run was fantasy, so let's go with mystery. And we're a detective, because you obviously have to be a detective in a mystery. Okay, give me a good story. You are Calamity, a detective living in Chicago. You have a pistol and a police badge. You enter the forest where you believe the criminal you're searching for fled to. Suddenly, you are met with a man wearing a gas mask, who takes out his revolver and shoots you in the chest. You have been killed by the hands of a criminal. Great story. Is it over now? Not transporter. Well, maybe yeah, we'll just... Great. Wait. Transported. When you're hit by a car. Wait. Yeah. Give me a reply to that. A demon appears in front of you. You are given a chance to join him and bring hell on earth. Join the demon. This went off the rails pretty fast. You've joined the Demon Lord. Well, I can see that you're no quitter, the demon remarks. You and your new master work together to conquer the world. After 3 decades of world conquering, you get bored and decide to create a plan in order to flee the demon, flee hell. What plan can you come up with? You incite a war between heaven and hell. Demons flood into heaven while holy beings flood into hell. Demons and mortals slaughter one another. When the fighting begins in your realm, you decide to teleport out of hell. Good plan. You find yourself back in the forest. You died in 30 years ago. only vague memories remain, but you recognize the scene instantly. You are mere feet away from the criminal who shot you back then. He looks at you nervously. You approach him as a ghost, but he's too scared to shoot you again. Unbeknownst to you, you had time traveled. The past 30 years in hell had only taken a matter of seconds on Earth. You're unsure of what to do. While your memories of the past 30 years are hazy, you are still certain you did something really important in that time. Whatever. Right now, you've got to catch the criminal. You fly after him, trying to catch him. But for some reason, you can't grip onto him. Instead, you find yourself back in the room with the book. You pick it up and look at the cover. You read the words on the front of the book. Demon Summoning 101. What now? The plot twists just keep on coming. You know what we're going to do? Put the book back onto the shelf. You place the book onto the shelf, deciding this is something you're going to have to research on your own. You then hear a bunch of boxes being opened up, followed by somebody saying, "Found them." What did you find? "Mortal rings," one of them shouts, and then you see one of the men uncover a bunch of rings placed in a box. "These look valuable," one of the men remarks. Is one of them the ring? One of them grabs what you presume is the ring in the box. "The black one is the ring," he says. "Well, in my memory, it was golden, though." "Well, then we got the wrong box," another one replies. "Keep searching for the right one then. And don't disturb me again before you've found it." You walk out of the room and head down the hall. After 2 minutes, you arrive at a door with a golden coat of arms on it. You open the door and enter the room. Your office looks just like you left it. There's your desk with your computer on it, the bookshelf, the pictures of your family, everything. You walk over to your files and open the drawer. In it, you have the files of your recent investigation. The murder of Juliet Hansen. You take out a folder labeled with that girl's name and open it up. Inside the folder, you have a report on her death. She was shot 30 years ago in a forest around the area. The case sounded so much like something you read in a children's book once that you had to go look it up. You looked up the case files to read the facts. One Juliet Hanson died 30 years ago in a forest. She was killed by a man using a rifle. Well, that's not quite how it went down. We gotta alter that. That doesn't fit our story. Actually, no, it does fit our story. Then, 30 years later, just last week, a person of the same name had been killed in exactly the same way, in exactly the same place. We'll get that AI back on track with this story. It sounded really strange, but you thought it was a cold case that you could crack with your memory. After rereading the report of the first case, you realize that the murderer's prison sentence had run out last year. That's why he committed the second crime, to prevent him from being set free. And this man had used a gun just like the first one. You know that's how the other victim died. The only problem was Frank Metzler, the murderer in the old case, died only 2 weeks after being set free from a heart attack. It couldn't have been him. I'm making my own murder case harder for myself. You had an idea though. Maybe the new killer was the one who fired the shot that killed Frank. Frank died of a heart attack though. Well, he died of shock after being shot. I could imagine that. Couldn't hurt to try to find out anyway. You had a contact in the Justice Department. You asked your contact about the murderer of Frank Metzler. Who was it? The eye is doing pretty good. I wanted to tell me the answer to my question though. Come on. He said he wasn't sure, but that it probably was the man who had killed the first Juliet. An old prison mate of Wait, what? I don't know if I can fix that. Killed the first Juliet, an old prison mate of Frank's. His name was George Stark. Okay, George. How can I make this make sense? Turns out Frank Metzler was actually innocent in that case 30 years ago. A fact only found out last year, which eventually led to his release. For some stupid reason, the jail put the actual murderer in the same cell as Frank. Before George fled from jail, only 1 week after Frank's release. This is getting complicated now. This is great. Why wasn't he caught? Well, so far nobody had paid attention to the fact that the victim was killed with a rifle, while the second victim was killed with one as well. Yeah. We're getting stuck here in a lot of things that don't match up. You decided that this was all getting too complicated for you. You just head over to the crime scene and look at it in first person. Thinking about it isn't going to do us any good. You quickly approach a taxi and ask to go to the forest 30 miles north of the city. Inside the forest, the police tape still shows where the crime had taken place. Where did I say? Just last week. Taking place last week. A lot of people had been called to this place and the investigation was still ongoing. You paid the officer on duty and entered the crime scene. Your knowledge of forensics helped you understand what you were seeing. By the way, this is world info. You can add entries if, for example, words or people come up. Basically, if one of the keys is detected, the entry is being fed to the AI. So basically, I can say Juliet Hansen. I mean, at least I assume I can do that. Murdered by George Stark. Frank Metzler died of heart attack 2 weeks after being released from jail. George Stark, actual murderer of Juliet Hansen, escaped jail 1 week after Frank's release. I don't know if this will work. I don't really know what it does. And you also have this. No, not this. This here, which basically tells the AI to, remember this. Which I think gets fed to the AI every time it calculates something. So you can only have like a a character limit of 1,000. But right now, should the AI remember anything? Forest, 30 miles north of the city. Juliet Hansen murdered. Metzler dead. George Stark on the run. That'll do for now. Okay. My knowledge of forensics helps me understand what I'm seeing. Do examine the scene carefully. The place was spooky, almost surreal. Why, AI? Why? You looked at the trees. They were almost in sideways, as if they'd been planked rather than just grew that way. You looked at the underbrush. Suddenly, something came out of there. It was a soft, furry creature, no bigger than a cat, but with a long tongue. It was black as the darkest night and had red eyes. You couldn't believe how much blood the creature had on it. You remembered the story you read. Maybe the little thing was a demon in disguise. You looked around for something to defend yourself with and you saw a tree branch close to you. You reached out for it, but before your hand could get there, the creature stopped you. It turned into a human shape and started negotiating with you. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. It sounded so cute and innocent that you couldn't help yourself and started laughing. What's so funny? Nothing. I didn't think you would. You meant to say that, but soon you found yourself too scared to speak. The creature didn't seem to mind, though. Okay. It continued. I've come here to take back what I was promised 30 years ago. The way it said it, it was as if it were an everyday transaction. My taking back what was promised means your death. You shuddered at the thought. Can't we do something about that? You asked the demon. I don't want to die. The demon gives a giggle, which shows that it knows how you really feel. It knew. Your words weren't exactly honest. You didn't really mind dying. You were scared, but in that moment your fear went away. The demon knew that and was using that to make you scared. It wanted to make you suffer, but it didn't know how much. Suddenly, you realized you still had your pistol on you. Where are we taking this, AI? Give me your word you won't kill me, and I will give you the name of the man you want to kill. The demon gives a smile with no teeth. Okay, fair enough. Who was it? Who murdered Juliet Hansen last week? I don't know that name, but I know who he is. Who? The man who murdered Frank Metzler. I promised his soul I'd get revenge on him, and I have. So you're telling me George Stark is dead? The demon laughs again. Oh no, the old man is very much alive. But the copy I made of him is now. What? The demon starts to explain. Whenever they take someone's soul, a lifeless copy of theirs remains on Earth to not raise suspicions of their disappearance. Someone's soul is what I actually should have written. In other words, it's not as if they were actually dead, just dead-like. This way they can still interact with the living. This is what had happened to George Stark. But where is he now? You ask the demon. Oh, I sent him to the Crimson Heart. As you feel a surge of fear. What did the demon mean? No, with that. What did the demon mean? You ask yourself that. But before you came to an answer, the demon interrupted you. Let me explain. Please do. I'm sure you have lots of questions. I can't stay for too long though. I have a lot of souls to convince and then I have to go back to the devil. Wait. Just answer me this one thing. The Crimson Heart. Where is it? The demon gives a smile with a single row of white teeth. Oh, I can't tell you that. It's a surprise for you. But, you start to say, before the demon disappears. You spend the next few days running around like a headless chicken, asking everyone you know about the Crimson Heart. You come to find out it's a secret society with ties to crime and the underworld. The lead is a vampire, Baron Varsaken. Huh. Vampires now. Interesting. No one could actually tell you how to contact them. The only way you could figure this out is to find out how to join them. After trying different things for weeks, you eventually found the method. You went to a local bar which catered to bikers. Not for long though. You walked in and took a seat at the end of a bar stool. The bartender was who you intended to speak to. Hi, can I see your best brandy? You ask him. He gives you a strange look before shaking his head. I'm not a bartender, I'm a pimp. Embarrassed, you turn around, actually facing the bar this time. You try again, asking the bartender in the exact words that have been told to you by a book hidden in a dark corner of the library. This time, he gives you a strange look, then starts to talk. Oh sure, but don't let the suit and tie fool you. I'm a ruthless pimp. God damn it. Pimp. God damn it, pimp. Shut up. I'm not talking to you. The pimp continues to talk, ignoring you. I've girls, boy toys, and a boss that needs to be entertained. Plus, I got an eye on the streets that needs watching. The usual fine. Slowly, you realize that it was all a facade. You had already been speaking to the one who could help you get into the Crimson Heart. Let's take this somewhere else. Shall we? You say. The pimp looks around cautiously, then asks you to follow him. You follow him through some corridors, through the back of the bar, entering a small little room that had pretty much nothing besides a couch and a whiteboard. He throws you to the couch as he tells you to wait while he goes to get something. A few minutes go by and you begin to realize you're being watched. Hidden away in the corner of the room, there was a camera filming every one of your moves. Hello, Frank Lawrences. Have you come to meet with me alone, just the two of us? A deep voice says from the whiteboard. What's happening now? Startled, you shift your gaze to the whiteboard. It turns out that hidden within the whiteboard was something like a TV screen that now showed you a gray-haired old man sitting behind an ornate desk who was patiently awaiting your reply. Don't worry, I'm not going to expose you, he assures you. What he didn't realize is that he wasn't actually talking to Frank Lawrences, whoever that may be, but instead had you in front of him, you reply, "Yes, I'm here to meet with you. Have you thought about my proposal?" "Yes, I have, and I'd like to offer you a job." You remain silent and he continues, "I need people. Do you enjoy music?" You didn't really, but felt that it would be a lot better for you to pretend you did. Good. You will go to their headquarters, and there you will play whatever music you think will entertain them. If you are successful, you will be contacted again for further jobs. Still not entirely sure who this man really was, you decided to take the chance and do what he asked you to. What's the worst? What's the worst that could happen? You think to yourself. "Yes, I'll do it," you reply. "Good boy. Now, here are the details." Here is the password to get in. The date and time are printed on the front door to you. You look back towards the front door and see that it had written, 27th of June, 2 p.m. Worcester Street, 27, written on it. It was an address you recognized. A big black building that no one really knew exactly what it was for stood there. You had been there once or twice when your dad had said it was a good idea to go there. You didn't really know what he meant at the time. But now, thinking about it, your dad's disappearance 12 years ago did feel strange. Maybe there was more to this case than you thought. "Thank you. I will remember this," you reply. With the time and date, as well as the address, safely secured in your brain, you make your way back to the station. The date was still 2 days away, so you decided to prepare. So you decided to do what you needed to prepare for the job. With a week passing and the day, the day finally coming, you were able to properly get in the back door of the Crimson Heart. Can we... Okay. We'll have to slightly alter that. After... once the day had finally come, yeah, that's better. Okay, give me another prompt to that. So, what do you think the job is? Surprised to hear a voice in your head? You don't really know what to do. But a voice in your head is no joke. You've only ever heard of people who have mental illnesses being scorned by them. You are thankfully not, but that isn't really the point right now. I'm talking to you. The voice continues. You reply, I don't know what to say. I've only ever heard stories and things about people with mental illnesses. I didn't know they could actually talk. You hear... Actually... You hear the voice sighing. Look. It isn't important why I can talk in your head. Just do your job properly. Alright? The voice then goes silent. What a friendly spirit. You guess it is time to investigate the rest of the building. Through the back door, you entered an area that looked almost like a museum exhibit. Lots of paintings that the masses would probably call art are hung up on the walls. With, yeah, that's fine for now. Though you've seen better paintings by more advanced artists, the largest among these works are all over the ceiling, with smaller works scattered across the walls. You decided to ignore the strange setup of this room for now and made your way onwards. After going through a small hallway, you enter another area that now has several doors leading to several rooms. What will you decide, AI? I should really stop, writing in past and present at the same time. You never did know what these rooms were for, but if you remember correctly, the main one you need to go to is the last one on the right. There are hundreds of cages hanging from the ceiling here. Birds in each and every one of them. Some of them alive, some less so. You can't really decide whether this building looks properly taken care of or not. Putting that question to the side for now, you decide to sneak up to the last door on the right and put your ear on it to eavesdrop on whatever was going on inside. Before you even get the chance, a voice speaks out, startling you. "Oh, heard a sound. Someone there?" A voice says. You quickly hide behind a bush, behind a plant pot in the corner of the room. You see a man in his mid-40s, you think, entering the room, looking around. He's bald, though he has a short dark beard. "No, just a breeze," you think to yourself. To your surprise, he actually doesn't seem to notice you. The problem is, he came from the hallway that was next to you on your left, on your right. If he were to turn around and go back where he came from, back to where he came from, he would surely notice you. Can you help me out here, AI? What do I do? You have to make a choice fast. Thanks, AI. Very helpful. You take a coin out of your pocket and throw it past the man into a corridor off to the right. Wait, into a corridor leading out of the room to the right. Will that distract him? "Oh, thank you," the man says when he catches the coin. He then proceeds to leave the room. You wait until he is out of sight before you proceed to leave the room as well. I apparently caught the criminal. I'm not so sure about that. I can only imagine, like, the scene where I'm just sitting behind a plant pot in the corner of the room. Man walks past me. I obviously have no reason to be there. I have no right to be there. Man walks past me. He's like, "Is there someone here?" Then he sees from behind him a coin flying into the other, like into the corridor at the other side of the room. Turns around, sees me, and goes, "Oh, thank you. I'll take that," and then leaves. And I'm just like, there, okay. I don't know why I just completed the quest, but I guess I'll take it. Apparently the AI was like, "You've gone so far off track. Who cares about the quest? Just have it. Just do something." You decide to head in the direction that you threw the coin. Forget about the room to the right. You figure that if the place is run by the mob, there's no need to pay them just to look after your coin collection. As you're exiting the room, a voice speaks to you. Did you want something from me? Is what you hear from the person who had opened the door to where you were initially intending to eavesdrop. I was told to report to you if I found the room I need, you say, deciding not to hide anything about who you are. The man in front of you is wearing a strange outfit. It looked like a weird mixture between a clown's outfit and a business suit. You decided to not question him on his particular style choices and rather and continued what you were saying. I'm looking for the room where all the birds are kept, if you know where that is. Yeah, I can direct you to it. Look up, he says, confused as the room you were trying to reach. You were trying to reach was the one you were already in. Oops, that doesn't need the H. What? You ask, not understanding what he means. I said, look up. He continued playing confused, trying to catch a peek into his office. Why are you looking at me like that? The man asks, probably getting a little annoyed by now. Just trying to understand your directions. The man sighs and explains himself. Look, this needs capitals. This is the room you are searching for. You are already here. Is that everything? After giving a short thank you to the man, you leave the room and proceed to go to the direction that he had told you. You're already halfway through the building after all. Ah, great. After trying to follow his directions, you end up in the same room that you had started in. You had magnificently evaded him and are now standing before his empty office. You don't know what to make of this man. You don't even think he knows that you know who he is. No matter. George doesn't need to know anyway. You sneak into his room, carefully closing the door behind you, and start looking around for any clues that could possibly tie him to either the devil or the murder of Juliet Hansen. You have to admit you didn't expect him to keep such incriminating evidence in his office. Opening the desk drawer, you find the pistol. You find a pistol that is an exact match for the bullet you recovered from the dead body of Juliet. This would be enough in court. Well. However, apart from that, there is not much else in this room. No pictures of family. No singular thing that could point to any sort of joy in this man's life. The demon was right. Where are we going here? This is a man who hides everything behind a wall of work and responsibilities. It suddenly occurs to you that perhaps this is a tactic. Maybe he was working together with the demon, trying to trick me, trying to take my soul as a way to save himself. I couldn't let that happen. I took the pistol with me and swiftly tried to exit the building. Let's see if the AI does something with tried. I had already solved the riddle to get into the museum. Now I needed to solve the riddle to get out of it. It's not really a museum though. Let's change that. It looked like a museum, that one room. We'll keep it as that. Okay. I already solved the riddle to get into the building. Now I needed to solve the riddle to get out of it. What no one told me was that the rooms in this building opened easily from one side, but required a key card as well as the entry of a password from the other side. We won't question the strange choices the building owners made when they created this system. This meant that the person that designed this knew what they were doing. I'm not sure about that. Otherwise, anyone with simple access to the room could let anyone in. But there was still a way around it, if I remembered the warning correctly. I was given the key card. No, I was given the password from the man in the bar. So I had one of the two required items to exit the rooms. His words came back into my mind. Music. That was it. I just needed to play what he told me to get out of this. Please tell me, AI, how? But God damn it, AI. But how? The room didn't contain anything other than the desk and the bed. Oh wait, there was one more thing on the desk, a book. I slowly picked it up, turning to the index. But there was no index. Inside the book, there was an empty there was a space. The book was cut out in the middle, leaving just enough space to fit a harmonica into it. I've got my music instrument now. You see a small picture of a harp inside a rectangular frame. Okay. Solving this riddle was easy for you. You haven't been a detective for 20 years for nothing. The harp and rectangular frame obviously referred to the key and notes you had to play in order to activate the keycard system without a keycard. Next to the harp, you see the word play. You turn to the other side of the book and you see a note that simply says tune here. This one made you think. You were a great detective, but music really wasn't your forte. After pondering about it for a while, you figured it out. You had to play the song the exact way the man had described to you in the bar. Start playing from the beginning and play every note perfectly. Not an easy task for you, but you did practice for 2 days after all. You made your way out of the room and to the first door. It was one of 3 that were blocking your way to the outside. You start playing. It starts off slow but gets faster with each beat of the music. You struggle to keep up, but you do make it through it without a mistake. The door opens in front of you. Well, not literally, but you're outside now with a clear view of the man that shot you. He laughs and you glare at him. He stops laughing and points in the opposite direction. A vision played to you or shown to you by the demon, you assume. A brief moment passes before you come to your senses again. onto door number 2. You had actually been given 3 songs to play in ascending order of difficulty. You already struggled with number 1. Here goes. The second riddle was much simpler. All you had to do was simply turn the handle to exit the building. This riddle, however, involved a dance of sorts. Okay. As the genius detective you are, you attempted to open the doors naturally before playing your song. As it happens, number 2 was already open. Someone must have left recently. More bad design on the building manager's parts. Key cards stay active for a minute. Riddle number 3. The last one standing in the way between you and the outside world. Involved you trying to dance along with the music. At first you just stood there awkwardly, but as the song continued you started to feel the rhythm. The music started getting faster and you started to move your feet to the beat. Almost as if you had been dancing your whole life. You exude rhythm. Is that how you spell rhythm? No, it's not. Rhythm. And the door almost blows open after your magnificent display of showmanship. You're finally outside of the building again. You didn't know whether to laugh, cheers, or cry, but you definitely were glad to be out of that place. You still couldn't hear the song properly. You were outside in the real world. You decided that there was only one thing left to do. One thing to close this cursed case once and for all. You headed back to the woods. You stopped at the edge of the trees and looked at the building again. 30 miles away? Well, it was still there, as you knew it would be. You went back to where the crime had taken place on that fated day and waited for the demon to show himself. He never did, though. A few hours passed and you went to bed, only to wake up and realize that it had all been a dream. There was no curse, none at all. That can't be it. I spent weeks trying to solve this. I made my way through this hellish building that made me play music to exit as you say these words. Let's make it like this. You slowly realize how ridiculous it all sounds. Of course, there was no demon who had possessed George Stark. Of course, you didn't have to exit a building by playing strange melodies on a harmonica. Of course, you didn't. Of course, you didn't actually speak to the demon itself in the woods. Of course, those weren't real police officers who had driven up in a van and questioned you the next day. Of course, it was all just a stupid dream. But your hands are still shaking. Slowly the memories come back to you. Juliet Hansen. She was your wife. 2 weeks ago. She decided that she wanted a divorce. You packed her into your van and drove out into the forest. You shot her. It was you. There was no demon. Or at least, if there was, it was inside you. You go back minutes in your memory. It's still the same. Slowly but surely you remember the truth. All of it. You're an evil person trapped in an otherwise good body. This can't be real. You tell yourself this over and over. But this time, nothing changes. There's no more out-of-body experience. There's no more waking up from a dream. This is reality. You try your best to resist succumbing to it. But eventually, you just let everything happen. The police takes you away. And brings you to where you belong. A padded cell. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where the story ends. I hope you enjoyed reading through it with me as it started coming into existence. I'm actually sort of amazed by it. It's as it says here, it starts off slow but gets faster with each beat of the music. that almost once that almost makes me want to put music over it. That slowly gets faster, but I don't think I can find music that's that long. Although it would be fun. Maybe I'll think about it. If you're still watching this video, I'm not sure yet if I've just released this as one video, if I've cut it up into multiple parts. Tell me how you enjoyed it. Do you want me to continue writing stories like these with the help of the AI? Maybe going through different settings, different sort of premises, different prompts? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.